In this short video, we're going to talk about laser gun sights, pros and cons, and I'm going to show you just how easy it is to install a Lasermax Guide Rod Laser in your Glock pistol. That's coming up next on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose. My name's Brian. Thanks for joining me. So we've all seen it on TV and in the movies. The bad guys are standing there about to do something really bad, and all of a sudden, one of them looks at the other and there's a little red dot on their chest or on their forehead or whatever, and they immediately melt and the good guys win. Is life that simple? Probably not. The reaction to the red dot on their chest may be Hollywood, although the technology itself is 100% available, and it could be a really good addition to your self-defense pistol, just to kind of give you that little bit of extra edge. There's some pros and cons to that. We're going to talk about that in this video. First, I'd like to thank the folks at Lasermax for sending me one of their guide rod lasers for my Glock 43 so I can show it to you, and for sponsoring this video. So first of all, the reason I got in touch with the folks at Lasermax is I really like the concept of the guide rod laser. I like it because it requires no modification to your grip, to your ergonomics of the pistol. It works in any holster. It's not going to change your holster configuration. It doesn't require any kind of wraparound or anything else like that. It fits right in where your standard guide rod is. And as an added benefit, on some Glock models, some of the older ones had a plastic guide rod, so it could actually be a guide rod upgrade if you put the Lasermax guide rod, because it's made out of metal in it. So that's not the case with the Glock 43, which the factory rod is metal, but I know in a lot of the older ones it is not. I guess first of all, let me just go ahead and show you the pistol's not loaded, okay? I know there's no danger of me shooting anybody through the camera, but I do like to set a good example. So let's talk real quickly about Lasermax, about the company, about the specs, then we'll take you up to the old kitchen table and I'll show you just how quick and simple it is to install a Lasermax Guide Rod Laser in your Glock. First of all, when you buy your Guide Rod Laser, it's probably going to come in something very similar to this package right here. And it's got some really good instructions with it, very simple to do. Real quickly about Lasermax, they are a 25-year-old company, and they are just absolutely do a really good job of making high quality lasers for a lot of different applications. I'm just going to read you some of the testing they go through, because I was pretty impressed by this, and you can check it out on their website for yourself. But they test their lasers to frozen in ice, roasted in flames, crushed with heavy machinery, submerged to 66 feet underwater through 20,000 rounds of firing, a 5-story drop, and their lasers meet and exceed both NIJ and mil-spec standards. So the specs on this particular laser, and let me just go ahead and show it to you real quickly. That is the guide rod laser. You can see it just takes the place of the standard guide rod, and it's got a little button on back of it right there. The activation lever is actually your slide lock, and I don't know if you can see this out here in the light, but it's got a little groove on the slide lock, and when you slide it back and forth to one side or the other, it actually pushes that little button when you move it to the side of the other. When it's in the center, that button rests in the groove and it's not pushed. When you move it to one side or the other, it pushes the button. So very, very simple to use. Basically, you just push that button there. Let's see if I can aim it at the camera, you can see it. And it comes on. And you push it back to the center and it goes off. Pretty simple, right? A couple of things I like about that. First of all, it gives you the option when you're holding your pistol in a normal grip whether you want the laser on or not. Also, it makes it very easy. If you're indexing your finger on the slide, as you should if you're not about to pull the trigger, then it is right where your finger is and you just push it and it's on. Piece of cake. Now to turn it off, you're pretty much going to need your other hand, but if you're using a two-handed grip, then you got both fingers and thumbs up there some way to do it, you know, so it's not a big deal. So, but I like the fact that it puts the decision whether or not that laser is to be on in your hand, and you don't have to alter your grip in any way. Let's talk about the laser. It's a 635 nm red laser. Green is available on some models, not on the 43 right now. I think based on the research I did on the lasers that the green just takes a little more power and maybe a little larger size, so probably in the subcompact pistols, red is more prevalent. The activation lever works with either finger, so if you're lefty or righty, it doesn't matter. Whichever hand you got the pistol in, you can activate the laser. It has the ability to have a steady or a pulse beam. Pulse beam really does help you kind of see it better because it just draws your attention better, so it really helps you get target acquisition a lot faster. It comes with a 5-year warranty. The battery life is about an hour of continuous use, so they recommend that you change the battery pack just annually, and you can get a new battery pack for like 13 bucks from their website or from Amazon. or you can make your own with just 4 377 batteries, so little button batteries. The lasers are factory calibrated to each firearm's factory ballistics to be within 1.5 inches of point of impact at 10 yards. They achieved that because it's just so close to the bore of the barrel. This thing is like a 1/2 inch from the bore of the barrel, and it's calibrated very, very, very precisely at the factory. So you can be well within the needed strike range with this at average self-defense distances. Oh, by the way, the list price on this is about $289, and it is actually available at the time of this video on Amazon for around $207. So now let me take you up to the old kitchen table. I'll show you how easy it is to install this. And we'll come back and talk real quickly about the pros and cons of a laser sight. Okay, so here we are with the Lasermax Guide Rod Laser and my Glock 43. Okay, the first thing you want to do is make 100% sure that your pistol is unloaded. I mean, check it and double check it, recheck it and check it again. Then go ahead and go through the proper takedown procedure for a Glock. Next, remove the factory guide rod, and using your thumb or finger, apply a little pressure to the factory slide lock to move it about midway down in the opening. Then using a tool, push it about halfway out. So now you want to put your finger back over the slide lock to make sure the spring underneath it doesn't come flying out when you remove it, and go ahead and pull it out. Now if the spring doesn't come out on its own, just use a tool to remove it. Make sure you put these factory parts in a safe place and hang on to them in case you need them later. Everything you need to install your new guide rod laser comes in one little pack. There'll be a new guide rod, the new slide lock spring, the new slide lock / activation lever, and a handy little tool. There's even a little plastic sleeve not shown here if you want to supply your own replacement batteries. The Lasermax also comes with a very easy to follow set of instructions and operation manual. You notice that the new slide lock spring has a metal detent pin on one end. You want to put this spring back into your Glock with the detent facing up. Your new slide lock also serves as the activation lever for the laser. You notice it's got 2 yellow painted dots on it. You want to install this with the painted dots towards the rear of the pistol and the notch portion down. It helps to put it in at kind of an angle to get it started, and then just snap it into place. You'll know you got it when it moves freely from left to right and stays in place. You notice the activation lever has a small groove on the side which contacts the guide rod. This keeps pressure off the switch on the laser until the activation lever is moved to one side or the other. There's a little arrow on the switch end of the guide rod laser. Make sure you install this end next to the activation lever with the arrow pointing towards the barrel. Reinstall the slide to the pistol frame. Rack it a couple of times. There you go. Your Lasermax Guide Rod Laser is ready to rock. Okay, so in spite of the fact that I have an obvious talent for making simple things appear complicated, that is just how easy it is to install a Lasermax Guide Rod Laser in a Glock pistol. It is seriously that simple. But I said we're going to talk about the pros and cons. I can tell you from me, a big pro of this is just fast target acquisition. I have thankfully never been in a self-defense situation, never been in a high-stress shooting situation. But I have read a lot, and I know that your adrenaline is probably cranking up. I've heard you get tunnel vision, you lose fine motor skills. I can tell you that if I could pop a laser on and point it where I need to point, then I know that I've got a much better chance, I think, of hitting my target in a high-stress situation when it's really important and mine or my family's life is on the line. So that's pro number one for me. Pro number two for me is similar to that. I wear typically like progressive bifocal lenses. So that really does mess with your trying to line up your rear sight and your front sight, or your front sight and your target. And you're trying to put too many things in focus at one time. What a laser allows you to do is just focus on the target, period. You don't have to look at your sights. You just focus on the target, and where the laser is pointed is where the bullet's going to go within a very close range, right? So that's pro number two for me. Pro number three for me is, based upon my research, the vast majority of armed self-defense situations happen in dim or low light. So you may not be able to see the sights very well anyway. Now I've got tritium sights that were installed by the nice folks over at the Glock factory in Smyrna, Georgia, which is not too far from my house. But I cannot imagine it being me trying to line these sights up in a dark, high-stress situation. It's going to be nearly as quick and effective as just putting a red dot on somebody. What about, are there negatives to having a laser sight on your pistol? Well, the first one that comes to mind is if you are in a tough situation or you're trying to hide from bad guys and you have your laser on, in a dark situation, it's going to give you away. Which is why I like the Lasermax version, which you can turn on or off. So that's a possible negative for having a laser. Probably the biggest negative is that if you start relying on the laser, then you're going to get lazy on your fundamentals. And fundamentals in anything are very important. Laser, it is an electronic device. It could fail. The batteries could go dead because you forgot to check them. It could just go bad. Something could happen to it. Things happen. And if you're depending on that laser and you're not used to using a sight and you haven't been practicing using your sights and using good aiming and shooting fundamentals, you could be severely handicapped by your inability to defend yourself without the laser. And that's totally on you. It's up to you to make sure that you practice and get trained and practice and practice and practice, and don't just depend on any electronic device. And along those same lines, one possible negative is if you're not diligent in making sure that your batteries have been checked and replaced, if you accidentally leave the sucker on for a while and the battery's dead and next time you need it you don't have a laser, then you better be able to use those sights. That is something else that you have to maintain and think about. So that is another possible negative for a laser. You know, again, that's on you. So basically, in my opinion, the only real possible negative is that it gives your position away. All the other ones are basically on you as far as training. If you don't have good fundamentals and you just rely on that laser and you think, oh, I don't need to worry about practicing sight picture and I don't need to worry about any of that stuff because I got a laser, then in my opinion, that is foolish. So I guess really I don't even see that as a negative for the laser. The only real negative I see, possible negative, is it could give away your position, and that's one reason I really like the Lasermax, because you can turn it on and off. But all the other stuff I actually see as a negative on anybody who's not willing to maintain their training and fundamentals and just use their noggin. So bottom line, to wrap this up, I'm going to say I think, in my personal opinion, it is a benefit and is a very helpful accessory to have on your pistol. If you ever have to use your pistol in defense of yourself or your family or somebody else, I really think it could give you a distinct advantage over not having a laser. So there you go. I hope this has not been too much rambling. I hope this has been helpful. Once again, thanks to the folks at Lasermax for sending me this so I can show it to you and for sponsoring this video. As always, thank you for watching Survival on Purpose. I put out a new video every Friday, every Saturday, and often at random times throughout the week. You can check out a new one right here, and if you're not subscribed, you can fix that by clicking right down here. Once again, my name's Brian. You're watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival's not an accident, so be prepared. I'll see you next time.